What's up guys, today I'm going to bring you the first episode to my SB skate supports. Honestly, I haven't gotten too many through the Google forms. I've gotten most of these through Instagram, and I just want to state that over time I will do the Google forms more than the Instagram ones, just because it keeps it a little more organized, because the Instagram DM is going to be like a huge form of them since it's a little bit easier to submit them. I just want to mainly do the Google forms because I have a set way where you put video attempts in and things to do beforehand that will make it easier for me to go over and help you with to give you better tips for. So if you want to make sure that your skate support is actually reviewed, then submit it through the Google form. A link will be in the description of every one of my videos, so just make sure you check that and submit it through that form instead of Instagram. If you submit it through Instagram, over time I'm going to just start referring people over to that Google form, so just make sure you do that. So this first skate support comes from, I believe it's Anaya. If I'm pronouncing that wrong, I'm very sorry. But basically, I'm just going to review the footage. They said they're having trouble with kickflips. So I'm just going to review this real quick, and then I'll get back into it of what I think is going wrong with the kickflip. Hi Sean, this is my SB skate support video. I need help with my kickflips. Yes. Here's some tricks I can do. Okay, so Ollie. Ollie looks good. Front side 180, pretty good. Back side 180, good too. Yeah, your rolling switch with it is good too. Pop shove it, pretty good. Could use a little bit of work, but that's probably a pretty good start. Front shove it, actually really good. I actually like front shove it's a lot better than pop shove it. You see, front shove you actually got good pop on those. That's good. Okay, so I think that's actually good to start for kickflips. That's a good background to have. That's all the things necessary. Okay. Okay, every time I get a decent flip, I don't land on my board. Thanks for watching my video, and please leave tips. So thank you so much for submitting. You did exactly what I wanted you to do for the skate support, so I just want to thank you so much for that. I'm going to go back into the video and kind of show you what specifically is going wrong. Okay, so after carefully looking at the footage, I mainly noticed three things. One of the first things that I noticed is that when you flick, your front foot is actually going immediately to the ground, which is honestly one of the most common mistakes that happens with kickflips. One way that you can combat this is make sure you practice landing with your front foot only. And the reason I tell a lot of people this is because, like I say, it forces you to learn how to flick up and then keep your front foot above the board after flicking. So this doesn't mean it's going to be easy. It might be hard for you to try to do this, but you want to make sure you actually try to do that because it's going to help you learn over time how to do that. Because if you keep trying to either flick the same way you are, or if you're trying to land with your back foot, you're just going to constantly flick downwards. So that's going to make it a little bit harder. So make sure you actually practice landing with your front foot only first, because it'll help you flick up and then keep it above the board so you can land on it. The second thing I'm noticing is actually dealing with your flick. So you do form the kickflip, but one thing I noticed, so you bend your ankle to start off with when you're starting the flick, which is actually really good. But the last step you're missing is the final flick. So your ankle's bending, right? But you're missing the oomph on it. So a way to practice this is basically just standing still with your board with your tail popped down, and then just practice flicking that flicking motion over and over again, just making sure you only bend your ankle. You shouldn't really have to kick your foot out. You should only just have to bend it. So it should be start to bend it and then release it to flick up for the kickflip. So basically just practice that motion over and over again. And then one thing I like to do actually is just practice that motion over and over again while holding the tail down. And then after you practice that bunch, just immediately after, just press the board down and then try to repeat that flick in the actual kickflip. So kind of just do it just a bunch of times, just flicking your foot over and over again, and then get ready for the kickflip and try to repeat what you just did so you can actually try to memorize how to do that flick. So just practice that. And then lastly, this is one of the most common things I also see with other people is your back leg is not really bending or tucking up much. And sometimes this can happen when you're landing with your front foot only, so just make sure you keep this in mind. But after you get that front foot only kickflip down, make sure you actually practice to tuck both knees up after you pop and flick. Because the thing is, if you look when you're popping, your back leg just stays completely straight. It's not going to bend up. So that means your back leg is going to be below the board, and that means it's going to make it impossible to land the trick. So the only way they can combat this is practicing tucking both knees up immediately after popping and flicking. So just make sure you try to do that, because after that, both your feet will be above the board at that point after you practice the landing with your front foot only and then bending both knees up. And then after that, all you have to do is just put both feet on the board. It's a lot easier said than done, but at least you'll actually still be able to do that. Because otherwise, if you're not bending your back knee, it's going to stay straight and it's not going to be above the board, so you won't be able to land it. So just kind of summarize it. Make sure you practice landing with your front foot only, just to practice to get you to learn how to flick and keep your front foot above the board. Also with the flick, just make sure you practice while standing still, just flicking, and make sure you really bend that ankle to do the flick. And then lastly, make sure you bend your back knee up so you're actually able to put it on the board. And just other tips you can do, like if you don't feel comfortable committing to the trick, you can try on grass or like carpet or something like that, just to get kind of used to it. But after that, you should have all the things necessary to land the kickflip. You're just gonna have to put in the time and effort to finally land it. So thank you, Anaya. If I'm pronouncing that wrong, I'm very sorry, for submitting this skate support. I really appreciate it, and I hope this helps you. If it does help you, please let me know in the comments below, and seriously, that'd be super awesome if I see you guys land the tricks. Alright, so for this next one is actually through Instagram, and I actually already helped this person out and actually did end up landing the kickflip. So I just kind of want to show you that it's almost the same tips as the beforehand, but given the tips, you can actually see how they're put in practice to land it. So the username on Instagram was Carter_Lee84. So basically what they said they're having trouble with their kickflip, and I looked at the video, and what I noticed mainly was that they were flicking downwards, or either after their flick, their front foot was going immediately to the ground after flicking, which was similar to the previous video. So, like I said before, make sure you practice to land with your front foot only, so it forces you to learn how to flick up. And like I said before, you know, it's not going to be easy to do that all the time, but it will help you learn better in the long run so you can actually land the trick. And the only way this was a little different from the previous video is that they were landing with their back foot only a bunch, and you can see it is bending your back knee up to keep it above the board to land on it, but it kind of almost forces you to flick downwards just so you can land with your back foot only. So the only reason you really want to practice with your front foot only is because after you learn that, you only have to keep that same motion but while bending your back knee up, and then you should be able to land that trick. I mean, it can help a little bit when starting to land with your back foot, but just make sure you honestly try to land with your front foot only. It will help so much more. So I told him to keep those things in mind and make sure to practice tucking both knees up after flicking and popping the board. Like, sometimes you don't even have to worry about even land. Just make sure you tuck both knees up so you get used to that motion after you pop and flick. Because after you do that, all you have to do is just commit to it. And I'm telling you, a lot of people I see are scared of falling in skateboarding, but just to be frank with you, that's gonna be a part of skateboarding that you have to get used to. So honestly, if you're really scared, put on a helmet. Seriously, that's like the best thing you can do. It'll keep you safe. And seriously, falling isn't too bad. You know, sometimes it can be, but most of the time it won't be too bad. And then if you slip while falling, that means you got closer to landing the trick. So hopefully that motivates you to even land the trick more, since you're even getting closer than you would before if you didn't commit. So I'll show the clips. So here are the before clips of before I gave them the tips, and then after the tips, they're actually able to fully land the kickflip. So thank you guys for watching so much. I really appreciate all the skate supports you guys send. Just make sure you actually try to start sending them through the Google Forms now, because I'm going to start prioritizing those over Instagram, and I'm going to start sending the Instagram people over to the Google Form. It'll keep it a lot more organized for me, and it won't pile up too much in my Instagram DMs. Otherwise than that, thanks to everybody who submitted the skate supports. I really appreciate that. Thank you guys so much for watching my videos. If you want to see more, make sure you actually click the subscribe button and the post notifications button, because I notice a lot of my views are actually not from subscribers. They're just from people who end up finding my videos, but they aren't subscribing. So if you actually want to see more where I have helpful tips like this, make sure you press that subscribe button so you stay notified. Otherwise than that, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Thanks so much. Peace.